My name is Taylor Dixon and I have been asked to present my findings on why electing a HSR or Health and Safety representative would be beneficial to Aussie Herbs. Firstly, a HSR or a Health and Safety representative is someone who has been elected to act on behalf of the work group in relation to all health and safety matters. As you may be aware, there has been a request put forward by a fellow worker that a HSR be elected. A company is not required to have a HSR unless a request has been put forward. This is why Aussie Herbs hasn't previously had the need or requirement for a HSR. However, as the request has now been made, it is now a legal requirement for Aussie Herbs to elect a HSR. Today I'm going to go over some of the benefits as well as how to elect someone. So what are going to be the benefits of electing a health and safety representative? Well, there are many different benefits that work in favour of both the employees and the employer. By electing a HSR, you are giving your employees a voice which may not have been previously there. This increases employee involvement and turns around to make employees feel more valued and protected within the workplace. It also allows workers to identify potential safety risks with the HSR, who can then pass those on to management for further action. These risks may not have been previously identified by management, as they may not be experiencing these risks firsthand. For example, lifting of heavy boxes from the pallet jack to the milling machine without assistance. As management don't often do this activity, it's hard for them to see particular risks related to that action. This information then gives management the opportunity to strengthen their risks and safety controls. Among the many benefits is a financial benefit. Having a HSR assists the company to reduce the number of accidents and injuries in the workplace, which prevents the associated costs related to injuries as well as days off work for employees, which generally decreases the productivity of the business as a whole. If one person's away in one department, someone else then has to cover for that person, and that person needs to be covered, and so on and so forth. Another fantastic benefit is it increases the productivity and efficiency in employees as well. So while there are some costs in electing a HSR, the benefits truly outweigh that. Under the Work Health and Safety legislation, health and safety representatives are given certain powers and functions to assist them in their role. As previously mentioned, the main function of a HSR is to represent workers on the health and safety matters within the workplace, but they also have the right to exercise these other functions as they see fit. These include monitoring measures taken by the employer, investigating any complaints from their work group members, and looking into anything that might be considered a health and safety risk to the workers that they represent. In order to exercise these powers and functions, the HSR can inspect work areas, make requests to the regulator that they attend the workplace, and accompany the inspector that does attend the workplace. They also have the right to represent the work group in a health and safety committee should one be formed. There are two more extreme powers that a HSR possesses, which are to stop work from being performed if there is immediate risk to the health and safety, and to issue a provisional improvement notice, also a PIN, when they believe their employer has breached the provisions of the Work Health and Safety Act. A HSR has the right to exercise these powers whenever they see fit and has immunity for anything done or omitted in good faith in the course of their duties. Okay, so who can be a HSR? In order to be a HSR, you must be a member of the work group who have elected you and must not have been previously disqualified from a HSR role. Now, a HSR can only be disqualified from a role if a court or tribunal decides that you have previously misused a power or disclosed information for improper use. Once a HSR is elected, they hold that position for a period of 3 years, unless that person resigns, stops working within the group they represent, or are disqualified or removed from that position by a majority decision vote of the work group. There are 5 steps involved when it comes to electing a HSR. This graph shows the processes that need to be taken. So step 1, ask for an election. Step 2, begin negotiations for a work group. Step 3, notify workers. Step 4, elect a HSR. And step 5, notify the work group of the outcome. So I'll go into a little bit more detail. So step 1, ask for an election. Once a worker requests that a HSR be appointed, the business owner is required to do so by law. Any worker may request this. Step 2, begin negotiations for the work group. A work group is defined as a group of people who work together within the workforce. For example, the sales department is a work group and the milling department are a separate work group. A HSR represents the group to which they belong. So a member of the milling team would then be the representative of the milling group. The business owner has 14 days from receiving the request before they are required to begin negotiations. If negotiations fail or the business owner does not start negotiations within the required 14 days, anybody who is involved can ask that Safe Work New South Wales a representative be involved in the negotiations.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Specifically, what work groups would you recommend for Aussie Herbs?
Okay, so for Aussie Herbs, as it's quite a big factory, I'd recommend one for the sales department, one for the milling, I'd put one for the warehouse, one for the dispensary, and one for the packing rooms as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. So step 3, notify workers. As soon as an outcome has been reached, the business owner must notify all workers. Step 4, the actual election of a HSR. The procedure for electing a HSR in each work group can vary depending on the work group and its members. However, the procedure must comply with the requirements specified in Part 5 of the Work Health and Safety Act 2011. The business owner or principal must provide any required resources, facilities or assistance that are necessary for the elections to be conducted. And each work group member is entitled to 1 vote in the election. Step 5, notify the work group of the outcome. The person who conducted the election must advise the work group members and the business owner of the result as soon as the election is possible. Okay, so once the HSR has been elected, the HSR can request training in further legislation to better fulfil their role. The business owner or principal must allow the representative to attend a 3-day training course within the 3 months of the request. The company must pay all fees and other expenses associated with the HSR attending the training. The HSR is also entitled to receive the same pay that they would receive if they were doing their normal duties. Now, the HSR is also entitled to attend a 1-day refresher course every year during their term of office. Now, there are obviously obligations that fall on the business owner and when it comes to health and safety representative. Some of these include consultation with the HSR, providing access to health and safety and hazard information, allowing a HSR representative to be present during an interview that concerns work health and safety, provide resources, facilities and assistance to the HSR in order for them to complete their duties. Permit a HSR to accompany an inspector during inspection of the workplace, liaise with the HSR on any health matters, allow the HSR as much time as necessary to perform their powers and functions, and pay the HSR the same amount of money they're entitled to when performing their normal duties. A HSR should not be disadvantaged for taking on such an important role. So in conclusion, a HSR or health and safety representative is someone who's been elected to act on behalf of a work group in relation to health and safety matters. Some of the benefits are fantastic in increasing productivity and reducing number of incidents within the workplace, among many other benefits. And whilst a business owner may find it daunting at first, I believe you will find a great deal of value in electing a HSR. There are some sources from which you can get more information, such as the Work Health and Safety Act 2011, Work Health and Safety Regulations 2011, the Code of Practice Work Health and Safety Cooperation and Coordination. And I've also put up here the Safe Work New South Wales website and their contact number, and they have some fantastic information. But please feel free to ask me if you have any other questions, and together we can make the process of electing a HSR an easy and beneficial one. Are there any questions?
No, thank you.